Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today I want to discuss this is my Best in Boxing series. Going to be discussing all the number 2 fighters in each division from 122 all the way to heavyweight. So any guy I got ranked number 2 in their division, we're going to discuss. So these are some of the biggest names in boxing, or some of the best fighters, even if you don't know them. So you're going to want to pay attention to the update here. So first, guys, if you like my videos, thumbs up, positive message, or subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Any love and support. And if you don't, thumbs down and a negative comment. I'm all good with it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear the feedback, positive or negative. So let's jump into all the number 2s. We start with the number 2 fighter at 122-pound super bantamweight division, and that is Luis Neri, the undefeated WBC champion. Well, Neri, who just captured the title in September of last year, from what I'm hearing now, it's just a rumor as of a couple weeks ago, that Neri could be fighting Brandon Figueroa, which we already knew was a rumored possible opponent. He could be fighting him on the April 24th pay-per-view card, which would be the undercard of Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola in a heavyweight bout. And I also heard Vasily Lara is going to be on that card too. So I think because they're doing pay-per-view, they're going to try to load the undercard up. And man, fucking Neri and Figueroa, if that's true, if that fight actually happens, that one could steal the show. So I'm hoping to get confirmation soon on that, and we'll see what happens. And by the next report, I should be able to let you guys know if it's happening then or at another date. But I hope Neri's going to get Figueroa or Daniel Roman is what I'm hoping for next. And those are both big fights for Neri, the WBC champ. Okay, next, number 2 at 126-pound featherweight is Mauricio Lara, who came out of nowhere in February and scored a monster 9th-round knockout and upset of the undefeated former champ Josh Warrington. He dominated Warrington pretty much from start to finish. Warrington had his moments, but he could, the lack of punching power, he could not keep Lara off of him, and Lara was just landing hard, thudding blows that Warrington could not contend with. So, big win for Lara, big upset. Right now, what I'm hearing is that a rematch could happen. I think Warrington has a rematch clause in his contract, so we're going to see what if Warrington ends up fighting Lara by the end of summer, or if they just forego that fight and Lara moves on to something else. But big win. Hopefully we got some more news on Lara by the next monthly report. Number 2 at 130-pound super featherweight is the WBA super champion Gervonta Tank Davis, the undefeated Tank Davis. So Tank, I just heard a rumor about a week or so ago that he's moving up to 140 pounds. That's moving up 10 pounds in between fights to take on undefeated Mario Barrios, secondary champion at 140. That's big, for Tank as he tries to become technically a 3-division champ, but I just don't understand why he's going to move up and take that risk when he hasn't even really filled his body out at 135 and done a lot of work at 135. So if Tank's just the guy that's going to do what his mentor Mayweather did and kind of move up and down between the weights and test things out and try to make history, okay, that's fine. But I think he's taking too big of a risk by facing Barrios, who, he doesn't have the same skill set as Davis, but because of the size, he definitely throws a lot of punches that can pressure him and might be able to hurt Davis and knock him out. So we're going to see. I'm hoping to see if that fight gets finalized soon, hopefully for June in that area, and we'll just see what happens. By the next monthly report, we should know more. Number 2 at 135 pounds, that's lightweight, is the former 3-division world champion and 2-time gold medalist Vasily Lomanchenko. Lomachenko, the talk as of a few weeks ago was that him and Masayoshi Nakatani could be going at it, in June or so, and somewhere in that area, but nothing has been confirmed. They're just talking. Also recently heard that Lomachenko and Devin Haney are talking to each other about a fight later in the year. Now, Devin Haney, it looks like they would both have prelim fights, as Haney is secured in a fight with Jorge Linares, and then Lomachenko, as I said, is being rumored to fight Nakatani. Those 2 wins would set up a huge showdown later in the year for Lomachenko. I'm hoping it's that fight, or I'm hoping Teofimo Lopez in the second half of the year. But I'm hoping we get confirmation about him and Nakatani, or possibly even Richard Comey is somebody I'd like to see him fight in his next one. So I'm hoping we hear something by the next monthly report. Keep you posted. Number 2 at 140 is the undefeated and unified junior welterweight champion, Jose Ramirez. Ramirez from Fresno right here, local kid. Fresno, California, Avenal in that area. Anyways, Ramirez gets a chance to become the 6th undisputed champion of the 4-belt era when he takes on undefeated fellow unified champion Josh Taylor of Scotland. They collide May 22nd in the main event of an ESPN card. That is a huge fight right there for Ramirez as he tries to prove that he's the man at 140, the number 1 and top dog. Big time fight for him May 22nd. Can't wait to see it. You know, it's coming. It's on its way. A couple months away. Should be good. The number 2 fighter in the 147-pound welterweight division is the undefeated WBO champion, Terence Bud Crawford. Haven't heard anything on Crawford's next fight. You know, we know that him and Top Rank, you know, they struggle to get opponents for Crawford. So I'm not sure we're going to hear anything for a couple months here, but hopefully by the next monthly report we hear something on Crawford returning to the ring at least one more time on his Top Rank contract before it runs out in October. Number 2 at 154 is the undefeated WBO champion, Brian Castano. Castano, in February, went in and captured the WBO title with a dominating 12-round unanimous decision over Patrick Teixeira. Teixeira had his moments. A lot of the rounds were competitive, but Castano was just too much, did too much, and outworked him, outclassed him. Nice, very nice win as he becomes a WBO champion. And, you know, there's talks of him going after undisputed against unified champion Jermell Charlo, who holds the other 3 titles at 154. It's an easy fight to make because it's PBC, but Charlo has mandatories due, and we got to see what the WBC at least is going to do with Charlo's mandatory next. If they're going to force him to fight, or if Charlo vacates, we're going to see. But I'm hoping they make an exception and allow an undisputed title fight between Castano and Charlo. That would be big. Okay, number 2 at 160. Speaking of the Charlos, it's Jermall Charlo, the undefeated WBC champion at 160. Well, we know that Charlo's been lobbying to possibly get Canelo. Well, as of, I think it was the other day, Charlo came out and said, because David Benavidez has been calling him out at 168. Well, Charlo was avoiding fighting him. Even after Benavidez's performance last weekend, Charlo said, he's not on my level, he's too green. Well, Benavidez must have struck a chord by saying that Charlo doesn't have the balls to fight him, because Charlo came out and said, set up the fight with Benavidez, I'll fight his punk ass. So, you know, it looks like, at least in words, that these guys are agreeing to fight each other. That would be huge to me. If they were to fight towards the middle of the year, the winner gets Canelo, if Canelo's still fighting in December like he wants. Canelo said he wants to fight in December. He hasn't said against who, but we know he's fighting Caleb Plant most likely in September, as long as he gets by Billy Joe Saunders in May. So, and he's fighting, he would fight Plant for the undisputed title. Then in December, he said he wants to fight again. So I think if he were to sign a 2-fight contract with the PBC, the winner of Charlo and Benavidez would be the front runner, in my opinion, even over Triple G, to get the fight with Canelo in December or even early next year. So that's a big fight for Charlo if he vacates the WBC middleweight title and moves up to 168. So we'll see what happens. Big news right there, though, for Jermall Charlo. Hopefully by the next monthly report, we'll see if the talk, if that's real talk right there with David Benavidez. 168, number 2, is still former 2-time middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs. Haven't heard anything on Jacobs. He looked like shit in his last fight in November against I forget his name, Gabriel Rosales, or Rosado. I'm sorry, Gabriel Rosado. He looked like shit against him, but you know, and all the guys in Matchroom seem to be locked up fighting somebody else. Danny Jacobs, does he want a top 10 guy next, or is he just going to stay busy ahead of getting something else? He could go back to Matchroom. I think he's a free agent. Al Heyman, I believe, is still his manager, so he could sign with the PBC and fight there. Just really depends on what Jacobs wants to do. But I hope we hear something by the next monthly report to see if he's going to fight somebody legit or just stay busy, because he's not going to hold on to this number 2 spot forever at 168. 175, number 2 there is the undefeated unified champion, Artur Beterbiev, who is actually fighting tomorrow on ESPN Plus when he takes on Adam Dines. Unified title, light heavyweight title on the line. That's a big fight right there for Beterbiev as he tries to, you know, just take his first step since COVID in a year and a half. First step towards becoming the undisputed champion like he wants. He's, you know, he's got a couple mandatories due. He wants to fight Dimitri Bivol. He wants to fight the winner of Joe Smith and Maxime Vlasov, and it starts with Dines tomorrow. I think he's going to knock Dines out and retain the unified title and have a little trouble, but he shouldn't overlook nobody, so we'll see. March 20th, ESPN Plus from Russia, so it's earlier in the day if you're in the United States. Number 2 at 200 cruiserweight is Junior Dorticos, the former 2-time champion. Well, I heard recently that Dorticos has been ordered by the WBA to challenge for the regular championship against newly crowned champion Ryan Merhi, I believe the guy's name is, something like that. If that's legit and they want to get it on, that's a big step for Merhi, and it's Dorticos pretty much cementing himself, trying to get back in the mix and become a world champion and you know, lock down cruiserweight again, which, you know, if Maris Bredas moves on, Dorticos is the best cruiserweight out there, at least on paper. So he's got the power. I thought he was going to be moving up to heavyweight, but if he goes with this mandatory fight, we could see him try to take over cruiserweight again, so we'll see. Hopefully we hear something by the next monthly report on that. And then finally, the number 2 fighter in the heavyweight division is the 2-time reigning unified champion, Anthony Joshua. We heard the great news that Joshua and Fury have signed on for a 2-fight deal. The first fight would be for the undisputed heavyweight title, and in total, I believe it's a $200 million deal that these two guys signed. That looks like over 2 fights, they're going to get paid $100 million each. It's 50-50 down the middle, and I think the winner of the first fight gets 60-40 split in the second fight. I believe that's the rule, and just huge fight right here. And showdown, undisputed heavyweight champion. That's the first in the 4-belt era, and it's the first time in, I believe, since 99 or 2000 when Lennox Lewis did it against Evander Holyfield. So huge match. That's the biggest fight and then the biggest rematch of the year right there, and I can't wait to see it. That's supposed to take place. The first fight, they're talking about June or July, with the rematch coming in November or December. I would lean more towards December, but big news right there. And yeah, that's the monthly report for the Best in Boxing report for the month of March, and it's on, this one was on all the number 2 fighters in each division from 122 to heavyweight. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will come back next month with more on all the number 2s in each division. All right, guys, True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.